Emily, it gives me, I was playing around in it this morning. It gives me some shipment vibes. I'm not going to lie. The look of it, but also the close quarters.
It's very close quarters. So
yeah.
I'm like,
if you're a Call of Duty fan, shipment, that's.
I'm just like, okay, this is going to be really interesting because I feel like more so, and I'm not even saying this is good or bad because full disclosure, I have not had time to play it. I'm just going by what I've seen from other people. Like I think the big thing with this is actually to piggyback on something Jacob was just talking about with composition. We're seeing the evolution of teams figure out how to use abilities more, how to use abilities in tandem with other agents' abilities on the same team, and the evolution of how we're actually constructing full compositions. That's going to, I think, start getting more specified map for map. And this map specifically, I think, is a lot different than anything else we've seen from Valorant thus far, because it seems like there's so many things in your way. Like you don't seem to, and you, Tyler can correct me if I'm wrong, because I assume he's also played it if he was invited to test it out previously. You don't have as long sight lines as you've seen from other Valorant maps, and it seems like it's going to be a map where like flashes and smokes are going to be like super super important, and vision's going to be super super important because you have a lot of really tight sight lines that are going to vary wildly depending on the way that you're actually entering a site. Sorry, I realize this is not really telling you much, but
no. I've played Icebox a bit in the pre-event, and now that it is in the unrated category, it getting worked on until we get to its competitive debut in about a week's time. I like the map. It's very much like, oh, Ascent. We're going to give you Ascent, and then everyone's going to hate Ascent who doesn't know how to use an operator. And the mid is so huge. The sight lanes are so clear. You get sniped. You're walking around the mid. You just get sniped out of nowhere. It's very annoying. So they're just like, we're going to give you this map where it's all close quarters. The verticality is insane. We're going to throw random boxes just randomly everywhere. I think one of the negatives about Icebox is there's a few too much of those random boxes where it just kind of feels like they just threw a box in there just to be, to make it a bit more wacky and a bit more, close quarters and have a bit more edge to it. I think the verticality of the map is fun. The zip lines on A site do make it an interesting bomb site or spike site, whatever you want to say. Sorry, Ray, I know you don't like the word bomb. I think overall it's a fun map. I like it. There's a lot of skirmishes. You get a lot of wacky plays out of it just because of the verticality of the map. You're able to plant the spike on either the bomb side or the top side, depending where you are. It leads for a lot of moments where there's a lot of chaos. It is a very chaotic map where Ascent is very easy to set up with smokes. I guess rushing Ascent is a bit more chaotic when you're full on 5 rushing in using flashes to get onto either A or B. But I think this is a lot more chaotic just overall around. There's a lot of places to hide, a lot of places to kind of be out of vision where it's not the best operating map there is in the game, obviously, with just kind of how they set this map up. So this map was created to build on chaos and skirmishes, which is what the developers told us in the pre-act event or preview. So I think they completed their job where it is going to be a lot more of a chaotic map, a lot more skirmishing, a lot more rifle play than pure operator style when we see it on Ascent and Haven. So on that degree, good job. I still think there's a few too much random boxes here and there, and I've talked to a few pros and players, pros and coaches who feel the same. But overall, I think it's a fun map. I know some pros don't like it. I know Hiko's been iffy on it, but overall, it's a well added addition. I will always take a meh or maybe not the greatest map over not having a map at all.
Jacob, I know you're a big Apex Legends guy, grinding to plat in the past. What do you make of the rappelling and the verticality and the ziplining aspect of this map?
It feels a little weird, to be honest. I think Riot is like trying to find a way to separate their game from Counter-Strike without separating it too much. And I know we're going to dive into this a little bit in the show. They have a lot of benefits from being Counter-Strike adjacent in terms of the player base and teams wanting to invest in it, etc. But I do think that they don't want to just be like Counter-Strike 2.0 with more, I guess, like softer, less war-themed graphics, right? Like that's not what they're setting out to be. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I think that they're trying. Icebox to me feels like they're like kind of pushing their limits, right? Like they're trying to see how far they can go with all these various different boxes and everything. Because like if you look at just like a map of the thing and not the actual like running through it and we're doing a walkthrough, that map is actually really similar to Dust 2. However, because of all the boxes and everything else, it's not, because you do not have all the line of sights, particularly for operators, like you do on Dust 2, because they are blocked by other different objects. So to me, like it does feel like with the with the zip lines and everything else, they are trying to like figure out more of their identity. I think right now, like with the tournaments being with tournaments kind of being a little bit on hold. I know we do have First Strike, but with the Ignition series passing now and now moving into something else, I think that they feel like they've done a lot. I feel like Valorant's done a lot of testing the last couple of months as things have been a little bit more quiet in favor of League of Legends in terms of like what can we change here that would make a minor but noticeable difference, and what can we add here that would like really change the way people play our game. And I think that may be why you're hearing some of the feedback about from various players, particularly ex-Counter-Strike players, because this map, Icebox, is the one that feels least like Counter-Strike of them all. And
it feels like a COD map, like Arda said. It feels like it feels like a respawn map. That's what I want to say. Like it feels like a map that you'd be able to play an FPS where you're constantly respawning in different areas. That's what it reminds me of the most.
Yeah, and in that regard, like I feel like they are trying to form their own identity as they create more assets. Because you got to think about it, right? Like when Valorant first came out, it was a really bare bones game. Like it really was. Like 3 maps, a very limited agent pool, right? Like if you had the same playstyle, like there wasn't a lot of overlap if somebody else picked your agent, right? If you're a low elo player and you have to pick something else, like your main. So I think they're like now trying to expand and say like, where do we go from here? You know, like they're past the initial hype. They are now trying to like develop what their game looks like. And I think that's spilling into agent and map creation, and that's particularly noticeable with Icebox.